Think of it this way. If you were to externalize your internal voice, what would it sound like? So let's just say, for example, your friend forgets your birthday. Okay? They were tired, they overslept, they forgot to come to your birthday, and they're your best friend in the world. They're always there for you, but they forgot. So imagine that you continually bring that up to your friend all the time, for years. Bringing up, you remember you forgot my birthday. You remember you forgot my birthday. You weren't there for me. Every single chance you get, you bring it up. Well, that person probably won't want to be friends with you after a while because you won't let it go. You're constantly picking at them. It's exhausting. You know, they know they were wrong. You've told them 1,000,000 times, but you won't let up. And this is what we do to ourselves when we rehearse and ruminate on problems over and over and over and over again. You know, we almost ignore the fact that we're human. We need sleep. We need food. We have jobs. We have things to take care of. And it's not realistic for us to be worrying 24/7 about things we cannot actually change. But we do it, you know? And so constantly thinking like that, it's not motivating. It's not challenging you in a healthy way. It's just discouraging. It's the constant nag that you're not perfect and you should have gotten it right and how could you? But the truth is you're human. You're not perfect. You shouldn't be. You will make mistakes and bad choices. And there will be times when you fail and disappoint somebody. But none of that disqualifies you from respect and honor and dignity. And the truth is, the question isn't if you will fail or mess up or make a mistake, but it's when. And honestly, Jesus is the only one who's perfect. So there's not a blank check to go around and be a terrible person in the name of I'm just human. But I think there is so much room to recognize that we all need help, we all need compassion, and we all need grace. So how can we do better? What are some ways we can practice self-compassion? First, I want you to recognize that undoing old habits takes time. The truth is that trying to change a pattern can actually be alarming to our brains. We like things that are familiar, and sometimes we even like sad things that are familiar because at least we know it, right? For example, if you're used to motivating yourself through self-criticism, through nitpicking and bullying yourself, it may feel like you're failing when you don't do that anymore because that's the only motivational tool you had. So it may take time to undo some of those old patterns, and it may take time for you to realize like, oh, I can encourage myself and still challenge myself to do better. Encouraging myself is not settling for subpar. Encouraging myself is actually pushing me further. But it takes time, and you have to have the patience to know that, hey, like, I'm going to want to fall back into this old habit, and that is just normal. If you're like me, you may ignore, dismiss, or pretend you don't have emotions. And the truth is, in order to move through emotions, you really do have to acknowledge them. Again, emotions are just signals that you need to take care of something. So sometimes acknowledging your emotions means just recognizing that you feel a certain way. It's not necessarily about getting rid of the feeling. It's not necessarily admitting that you're right to feel that way, but it's accepting that you indeed are feeling anger, frustration, tiredness, worry. It's just acknowledging and going beyond I should feel a certain way to this is just how I feel. I'm going to accept it and just sit in it. And I'm just going to let the emotion pass through instead of shoving it down, and, you know, most likely it will come back later. The truth is, when we ignore emotions, especially our anger, sometimes our anxiety, the emotions come out other places, and usually not when we want or to who we want. And so, remember, self-compassion is about being responsible for your body, for your emotions, for your spirit. So, when we choose to ignore our emotions, we're not really ignoring them or hiding them or controlling them. Honestly, we're just diverting them to be pulled back out by a wrong situation. And I think the responsible thing is to actually deal with your emotions and own them, good, bad, and ugly. For me, the way I own my emotions is I write them. I write them down and I read them. Sometimes that just takes the scariness of them out. Sometimes I will just say them out loud. Sometimes I will think if I need to address a need in my body, because sometimes I'm just feeling a certain way because I need to drink water or I need sleep. Sometimes I don't know what to do and I'm really indecisive. I think I talked about this. And in those moments, I just stop and I just acknowledge that I'm frustrated and I just need a moment. I can't make a decision right this second. The reason I champion this so hard is because I personally know what it's like to shut down your emotions. I did that. And what happened was I put on the face that I should have, which is in my head was I needed to always be happy and in a good mood, which nobody is. And I just shut down the rest of my emotions that were not happy, And the truth is, those emotions just came out in other ways. They came out in stomach aches, in my heart beating super fast, and rapid breathing, chronic stress. So much so that I needed to get help to address it, which is okay. But it's awesome now that I'm starting to learn that I don't have to have these symptoms if I can begin to address some of the roots of my anxiety. So I want you to remember that your feelings are really like a map. They tell us about ourselves, but we don't always control them. And what I mean by that is sometimes things happen to you and you don't control the reaction you have, but you do control your actions. And so to me, you may not control how an emotion shows up, but you do choose what to do with it. I want to offer this as a practical way to get in touch with your emotions. It's from this book called, I think, The Joy Habit. And it talks about how the same way we can ruminate on horrible things we've messed up with, things that we didn't do right, we can also focus on things we've done right, things that are good, things that we've enjoyed, things that went well. And that the more you do this, the more your brain actually starts to look for that. And it's really something you have to practice. And so one of the ways they say to do it in the book is to take time to think about 10 things you're thankful for, to think about a good time that you had and go into detail. Like imagine the colors and the smells. Imagine maybe somebody took you out to dinner and you loved it. Think about it. Think about what the room looked like. Think about what the room smelled like, what their smile was like. Think about things that give you joy. Think about them and focus on them, things that are real in your life, because it helps your brain to actually heal and recover. I don't have this backed up by science, so don't quote me. However, I do believe our bodies heal themselves in many ways, given time to do so and given the help to do so. Some help is medicine, but some help is deep breathing. Some help is prayer. Some help is retraining your thoughts. And I think that our bodies are incredibly capable when we put them in the right environment. And it's not easy. So I'm not saying like, oh, you just need to think happy thoughts and that'll fix your problems. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying that the same way we've learned to build bad habits, the same way we've learned to fall into a certain pattern of thinking, we can find new patterns and we can fall into healthier ones that will help us live a better life. So I want to say that you really should practically think about the fact that, again, it's going to come back to the fact that you are human. And when you go into life expecting to be perfect, not to mess up, or to never experience a certain thing again, you're making a promise to yourself that you can't keep. Life is very uncontrollable. We cannot control a lot of it. And that can be incredibly overwhelming. But the truth is that there are some things we can control. Our reactions to life are things we can control, are things we can work on and encourage. So I think not walking around with the expectation that you're going to always have it together or that your life will get better as soon as you fill in the blank will help you to start looking at what you can control and start to make changes in your life with things that you actually have control of instead of focusing on the things that really you cannot do anything about. So that's really what I'm talking about when I say focus on joy, own your emotions, choose your thoughts, focus on the things you can control, because as you focus on the things you can control, your brain's going to start looking for the things that actually are helpful as opposed to focusing on the things that are unhelpful. So finally, for practical ways, I don't think these are as well listed as I usually do, but hopefully you can rewind and save the parts you like. But the last two practical things I want to talk about relate to boundaries. So again, being compassionate towards yourself, to me, means you understand that you're in control, or you understand of what you're in control of. You're not responsible for anybody else's feelings or actions. And in reality, you can't force anybody to do anything. So boundaries, the way I speak about them, just means recognizing where you begin and where you end, and where someone else begins and ends. I think there was a great podcast by, it's called I Have ADHD. And there was a great podcast. I think it's Kristen Carter. She has an awesome podcast, and she talked with somebody about this topic of how boundaries is just recognizing where you begin and end. And the truth is, many times we allow people to cross our boundaries. And I think a big piece of self-compassion is recognizing that you do, in fact, have boundaries. So to me, boundaries keep you safe, and they allow you to enjoy the richness of life. So they allow you to enjoy your family. They allow you to enjoy your friends and your job. And what I mean by they allow, I mean the boundaries that you decide to keep allow you to enjoy your life. The ones that you decide to let be crossed and ignore when people cross them, that is what will lead in some ways. I think a lack of compassion is ignoring your own boundaries. You may say, I don't have boundaries, but I think almost everybody does. You may not know what they are, but you know how it feels when someone crosses them. It might be how they speak to you. It might be, sometimes it's like an emotional boundary where you don't want to share certain things with certain people. Sometimes the boundary is your physical space. Sometimes the boundary is your home. Everybody has boundaries. Basically, I'd have to look into this some more, but boundaries are, again, what matters to you, what's important to you, what's a line that you do not want crossed. And it's always going to be something you can control, right? You can remove yourself out of a situation. You can't control how someone responds to you. So following boundaries, I think there's a boundary of taking care of your physical body. Your physical body is what carries you through life, right? Your physical body allows you to do the things you enjoy and love and care about. And often in ignoring our emotions, we also ignore our physical body. And the two are tied together, especially if you've been pregnant, you know exactly what I'm talking about. How much your hormones change, and pregnancy and just becoming a mom actually changes your brain in so many ways. And there are so many examples of this. That's the one that came to mind right now. But I just want to say that, like, for me, when I shut down my emotions, I stopped listening to myself. I ignored a whole range of when I was annoyed and frustrated until it came out and someone pushed me hard enough. But I also was ignoring basic needs like thirst, hunger, sleep, in the name of just getting things done. And almost every time that I do that for extended periods of time, if I am staying up late at night, if I'm not sleeping, if I'm not eating right, I feel it and I physically get sick. And so everybody knows somebody, I think a boundary of recognizing that as a human being, you have some specific needs, some basic needs. And as busy as you may be, you do need to honor some of those needs, such as eating well, sleeping, resting, all of those things are needs. They're not just conveniences, because over the years, the mistreatment of your body catches up. So in all you do, as hard as it may be, understand that all the people that you may be responsible for are relying on you to take care of yourself. Because the truth is, you know what you feel. And so just tuning in, paying attention to how you feel, being aware of what's going on in your body is just owning and having compassion for yourself. So taking a rest when you need it is not weakness. Eating right is not, a waste of time and money. Going and getting a doctor or whatever you may need if you're not feeling well, it's not just an excuse to leave work. Like, no, you're important. Take the time you need. Do whatever it is you got to do, because you only got one body. So you really do want to take care of it. And I want to say this. I know that the mental and physical is so intertwined that just get help if you need it. Don't ignore it. And if somebody doesn't listen to you, keep looking for somebody who will. Don't give up on yourself. Advocate for yourself. If something feels wrong or is off and a doctor's not listening, find another one, because you're worth it. And sometimes when you do go and you start looking to get help, maybe the solution doesn't work immediately. Don't give up. Keep going. I know I say that because for me, I was really, again, in that mindset of, well, if it doesn't work right away, just give up. Like, no. If the first thing you do doesn't work, if the first therapist you try, or the first medicine you try, or the first day of exercise doesn't go the way you think, you're worth it. Go again, try again, find someone new. I believe you're worth it, and you have so much to offer. You're important enough to keep trying, even if you've tried 1,000,000 times, to be well. And I just want to say, especially if you're a caretaker, it's easy to put things off. But I think you should prioritize your health care and ask for help. It's not easy. I know it's not easy, but I think it's important to take care of yourself as best as you can. And when you cannot, or if you are, even before you can't, just ask for help however you can. There are free groups online you can join. There are places you can call. And just reach out. If you don't know where to start, ask somebody for help and be honest and just say, like, hey, I would like to take better care of myself. Maybe you just need some therapy, or you need better sleep, or you struggle with eating healthy, and you can find somebody who can encourage you in little ways every day. So just reach out for that help. Don't be embarrassed. Again, like I said, nobody's perfect. Everybody has made their own mistakes and poor choices, but making poor choices in the past doesn't mean we are perpetually punished in the future. We can choose to do better each and every day, even if it's a really small step. I'm talking about if it's 5 minutes or 2 minutes. That little step is important. Finally, for what I'm going to say is that for self-empathy, self-compassion, I want to say that when it comes to, again, owning our spirit, or being responsible for the fact that we are a spirit, we are more than just our physical bodies and our emotions. We have a will, we have hopes, we have dreams. And I think that self-compassion involves caring for your spirit as well. So for me, I believe in prayer. I have a church community, Bible study. Peace for me comes from knowing God and knowing He's in control of my life, and that He knows me, and casting my cares on Jesus is what I do when I feel overwhelmed, because sometimes I do not have it to be compassionate to myself or anybody else. And just for the way I deal with it is, I'm like, listen, God, I don't have it today. I don't have it. I'm going to go and do my best, but I don't have it. And so for me, that's just how I encourage my spirit when I am down, and when I don't even care about myself. And I just lean on what's outside of me to get further. So that is it for this first episode. We are again talking about how we can use these methods that designers use to create products, but we can apply them to our lives to improve them. And so, again, we started with empathy. And next time we're going to talk about empathizing with others. And today I just want you to remember that you are seen and celebrated. You are loved and cared for. And you are important and you matter. So please reach out for help to take care of yourself. Reach out for professional medical help if you need it. Take a nap if you need it. Eat a snack if you need it. But don't forget that you only get the one body. You only got the one spirit. You only got the one you. And so you've got to go to bat for you. And it's hard, but you got to do it. Finally, please join our community. I am always looking for people to celebrate because I think there are a lot of regular people who do awesome things and I don't hear about them. So I want to. So please join my newsletter at BethanyJphotography.com, and I will see you in 2 weeks for a new video. Finally, there are definitely links in the show notes for references to what I've talked about. I referenced a couple books and podcasts. So I do try and put the links in because I don't want to plagiarize. So please visit the show notes to see details of the podcast. I put in there the book Never Split the Difference. I linked it to the episode of where I saw the author Chris Voss. I also have a book that I read that was helpful for me called The Living Good Diet, which honestly I think is kind of like keto. But anyway, it was pretty helpful. I thought it was very motivating. I also read the Joy Habit book that's down there. I also have the Personal MBA, which was a good book, which actually goes into psychology, so that's why I'm mentioning it. There was the I Have ADHD podcast with Kristen Carter. And then the Dr. John Mulaney show. Then let's see. I also have a link where you can look at more information about self-compassion. If you need help, please reach out. I will link down there and like an emergency hotline. So if you're going through something, please reach out to a professional for help. I am not a professional. I am a person who has dealt with things that are difficult, and I just want to encourage people that it's okay to reach out for help and to see yourself with a little bit of compassion and empathy. Treat yourself like you would a good friend because, again, we're human. We all need it. So thank you for sticking around, and I can't wait to continue this series with you. Bye.